the crew here. How are you?
Good, how about you? Christopher Washington.
Christopher, nice to meet you.
How y'all doing again? That's good to see you.
Nice to meet you, Isaiah. Come on, Chris.
Come on in,
Yeah, we need a couple people over here. Come on, crowd the winner's circle here.
Get close, huh?
Get close. That's right.
I'm still wearing it.
Yes.
We all ready?
Sick.
Yes.
Ready?
Yes, ma'am.
Good. I put my other cheat sheets under there. Okay. And I think we have everybody, so. Hello, everyone. We are here today for a wonderful reason. And I'm here with several community members who have organized all kinds of celebrations for Juneteenth. This is the third year Juneteenth has been officially recognized as a national holiday. So I want to introduce a few people who are going to be speaking, and then there are many others here as support. So Yvonne Giles is with us, Martina Barksdale, Christian Adair. Is Marvin Young? Marvin, where'd you go?
Joseph Sullivan. Joseph Sullivan's going to speak.
You're going to speak for Marvin? Okay. James and Seneca Hudson are here. Tiffany Brown, my Equity and Implementation Officer. Adrian Takur, our Deputy Director of Parks and Recreation, who's been working with these events. She's also here today. Where'd you go? Surprise! So I want to thank these members and others of our community. Thanks to them, Juneteenth will celebrate with flags, art, food, singing, and much more. Celebrations begin June the 10th and continue through June 19th, the official holiday. Juneteenth, also known as Emancipation Day, became an official federal holiday in 2021. It honors the day that all enslaved people in the U.S. were legally freed. Juneteenth flags will adorn Main Street beginning June 13th. There will also be banners along the Legacy Trail from Isaac Murphy Memorial Art Garden to the North Lexington YMCA. So we are here in Cadentown because one of the Juneteenth events we're talking about today involves this rural hamlet. Cadentown is home to this Rosenwald School, which is right behind us. More than 5,000 schools like this were built in the rural South between 1917 and 1932 to fund a better education for African American children. We'll hear more about this in just a minute. We have a lot of Juneteenth events to talk about today. I'm going to take them in chronological order, and that means we start with Yvonne Giles and the 18th annual Juneteenth Jubilee, our longest running Juneteenth celebration. It's planned for this Saturday, June the 10th. And first of all, Yvonne, I want to thank you for all that you have done to help our city preserve and uncover the history of African Americans who've helped build this community. And Yvonne also has done so much to highlight and uncover the history of our African American veterans. So I'd appreciate it if you can tell us a little bit more about this year's Juneteenth Jubilee. Welcome.
Thank you, Ms.
Yeah.
Gordon. Thank you so much, all of you, for coming today and to continue the interest that you show in helping us promote and talk about and make more aware of what we're doing. African Americans during the Civil War joined the Union Army in the force of 23,703 men. majority of them enslaved. In African Cemetery Number 2, which is the oldest African cemetery in Lexington, we started with 40 headstones. Over the years, we have continued to do archive research. This year, we have 153 veterans that are in our cemetery, and that's the parameter. They have to have been buried in Cemetery Number 2. They have to have served in the United States Colored Troop. Among those troops are 3 free blacks who joined the 54th and 55th Massachusetts during the Civil War. We have men who joined in New York, Tennessee, Arkansas, and other Mississippi. This year, we are celebrating a little ahead of everyone else's celebration, June the 10th, which is this coming Saturday, 7:30 to 8:30 in the cemetery. And there, I did bring a flyer for those who may not have seen it. We just sent out the announcement this past week, or yesterday, in fact. Dr. Alistine Turley, who is a professor, was founder director of the Underground Railroad Institute in Georgetown. She was founder and director for the Berea Carter G. Woodson's Cultural Center. She is now with the Storytelling Association, but she has consented to do her program about Kentucky United States Colored Troops. And Saturday, when she was in there trying to figure out where she's going to do her PowerPoint presentation, which is new for us in the cemetery, she started talking. We walked through the cemetery, and we might be there longer than the hour we planned, because she is just a wealth of information. She has deep research experience. She's an educator and an author. So we are anxiously looking forward to her presentation and the new format that we'll be doing in the cemetery. So Saturday, June the 10th, 7:30 to 8:30, come join us, learn more why we are celebrating Juneteenth. We'll have a reenactor of General Gordon Granger, who was the Union Army officer who announced the proclamation in Texas on June the 19th. This is the third time we've had him. He will read the full proclamation. And we always have our reenactors from the 12th Heavy, as well as from the Sons of Union Veterans of the Civil War, who give us our color guard, sound our taps. So please do join us. Ms. Thakur is coming to announce all of the other events so people can come. There'll be ample lead time for them to make their schedules and come to the other Juneteenth events. And this year I'll get to go see other people's events. Yay! So those of you who don't have a flyer, I did bring some extras, so please take one and share with others that you know. And thank you again, Mayor Gordon and the city, LFUCG, City Council, for supporting this activity, because it's very difficult, everybody knows, to pull together citywide these types of activities, and it takes a lot of planning and a lot of work and publicity. So thank all of you for having come today, and again, in participating and supporting what we are doing here in Lexington to highlight our African American history. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Yvonne. If you have never been to a ceremony at African Cemetery Number 2 where Yvonne has been pulling it together, they're wonderful. They're always very meaningful, and I so appreciate your dedication to what you're doing. So next, we're going to hear from Martina Barksdale, who's going to tell us more about Soulteenth Fest at Moondance Amphitheater on June 17th. So Martina, I'm going to welcome you to the podium. Thank you for being here. You can pull that up.
Thank you so much. It's so hard to follow Miss Yvonne Giles. I definitely look up to her, and she is part of the inspiration behind Soulteenth and Soul Feast Week. For those who are not familiar with Soul Feast Week, I'm the co-founder. It's a 10-day celebration of Black culinary and agriculture here in Central Kentucky. So not only are we highlighting the culinary aspect, but we're also highlighting and supporting our Black farmers in partnership with Black Soil Kentucky. With Soulteenth Fest, that's going to be June 17th, 12 to 6 p.m. at Moondance Amphitheater. First and foremost, I want to thank the city and Parks and Rec and the City Council for supporting all of these grassroots organizations. It's really great to see people like myself and those behind me really pulling together to tell our stories and continue to do so. So at the Moondance Amphitheater and Soulteenth Fest, it'll be 12 to 6 p.m. It's free for everyone to attend. We want to make it accessible. We'll have on-stage programming all day long. We'll have everything from cooking demos to the African-American ballet troupe dancing, music, spoken word, and even some history. And if you want more information about that, that's soulfeastweek.com. And we have an array of all events starting next week. It's hard to believe that it's right around the corner, honoring our history, as well as we'll be doing a food and walking tour. So we want you to come out and support all of our businesses, our Black-owned businesses. Really want you to put your money where your mouth is, literally. It's going to be a great time, great music, great food, and really bringing the community together. So we want people from all backgrounds, all walks of life to attend and celebrate. So thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Martina. I told her my mouth is already watering. Before we go on, I also would like to thank Commissioner Chris Ford, who's with us today. So Chris has all of General Services, which means his department is about facilities, fleet, Parks and Recreation. He has a lot of in his purview that has to do with putting on a lot of these events. So thank you for being here, Chris. So also on June 17th, we have the Juneteenth Independence Day celebration at the Lyric Theater and Cultural Arts Center. As you know, the Lyric is a cultural icon for African Americans across Lexington and beyond. So Christian Adair has planned quite a program for Juneteenth and for the Independence Day celebration. So I want to welcome Christian to the podium. Welcome.
So thank you for having me here. I'm glad everyone's having an event that weekend. It is a milestone to celebrate the emancipation of enslaved families, kids, grandmothers, daughters, husbands. It's a huge day, and it's something that America as a whole should celebrate. And at the Lyric Theater, a place of diversity, inclusion, and inspiration, we're going to provide an event that's going to be amazing. If you love blues, jazz, gospel, call and response, spoken word, hip-hop violinists, rap, stepping, dancing, African drumming by young people, this event is going to be amazing. You're going to leave with an experience, and you're going to leave with some knowledge, because we're going to have a narrator that's going to tie all of these events, all of these artistic expressions to the Black community. So we invite everyone to come out and celebrate with us. With doors open at 4 o'clock, we have a museum and we have an art gallery that's going to display photographs taken by African American teenagers. We're going to have a display from Kingland that's going to loan us a display that's going to call Heart of the Turf. And then in our museum, you come in there, you're going to learn, and you're going to have some artifacts that you can observe and, again, learn more about the culture, the rich culture of African Americans. So it is for everyone. It's not for one community or other. I want everyone to come out and enjoy it. And thanks again. And it is free. And it's free because LFUCG wanted to make sure that opportunity and access was open to the entire community. So it's an indoor event, and it's free to everyone. So get your tickets, or well, more than that, get there early. And if you're upset because you didn't, then come next year.
Awesome. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Christian. I wasn't familiar with violin hip hop.
She's good.
That sounds wonderful. So we're all learning, right? Um, Next, let's see. We're hearing from Marvin's not here. Joseph Sullivan is going to talk to us about the 7th, annual Juneteenth celebration at Isaac Murphy Memorial Art Garden. And Joseph says they have a lot planned at Isaac Murphy, and so I'm going to invite him to the podium to fill us in on some of the things going on. Welcome.
Thank you, everybody. So after everybody else's wonderful events that weekend, after you do all the learning with everybody else, we're going to have a Juneteenth Jubilee. So we want everybody to bring out their kids and families. We're going to basically focus on families and family development, and we're going to have free food and art entertainment for the kids. At the beginning of the day, we'll have George Shanks with a gospel number, and then towards the middle of the day, around 2 to 4 o'clock, we're going to have a hip-hop performance, and Benny and his gang will be wrapping everything up from 4 to 7. So if everybody could please just bring their kids out, have a fun day, and just celebrate Juneteenth with fun and Jubilee. Thank you.
That's wonderful. Thank you so much. Whew, there's a lot going on, isn't there? Now, let's hear from James Hudson, and I want to again recognize that his wife Seneca is here. And they've been working with the Georgetown Street Neighborhood Association to plan Juneteenth Freedom Day. This is the second year for this celebration in Douglas Park. So, James, tell us what's going on. Where'd you go? There you are.
Hello, everyone. I'm very excited to bring this second annual Juneteenth celebration to a park that's near and dear to me, which is Douglas Park. It's such a great event. I even brought along my nephew, Jacoby Jones, to help me with this thing, my wife, Seneca Hudson. I also want to give a special thank you to the Neighborhood Association for making everything so easy for us to be able to do this. It's just it's a great event that we just actually have poured a lot of heart and soul into, and we just hope everybody has a good time. Ours is basically fun. One thing we do really want to highlight is the boxing event that we have. It's a nonviolent boxing event just to show kids that, you know, the old-fashioned way works too. So hopefully we can, you know, kind of bring the violence down with some of these events that we bring to the table. But yeah, just come on out. June 18th starts at 2 o'clock and we'll end it at 8 p.m. Lots of food, lots of beverages. Everything is free. So just come on out and have a good time. Thank you.
That's awesome. So I want to recognize Betty Kerr, who's with us today. Betty is the city's director of historic preservation, and we are certainly on a very historic site here today. Thank you for being with us. Finally, last but not least, I want to invite Tiffany Brown from my office to the podium. Tiffany's planning a Sense of Place campaign launch, and it's on the Juneteenth holiday, June 19th. So Tiffany is going to tell you more about this campaign. Tiffany?
Thank you, Mayor Gordon. I may need a little help from Adrian. A Sense of Place, remembering and celebrating Lexington's rural black hamlets, will launch its campaign on Juneteenth at 11 a.m., starting at the Cadentown Missionary Baptist Church. Many of you all are not familiar with this site, and so we felt it important to have this conference here today on this site, which is, to me, it's sacred ground. This building behind us it was opened in 1923, so it is 100 years old. And what better way to acknowledge, to remember, and to celebrate Lexington's Black history than launching the campaign to preserve our history. Lexington history is Black history. And so one of the things we know that newly freed slaves did was they pulled together their money to purchase land that they could farm, land that they could build their communities, land that they could educate their children on. And this was one of the last standing Rosenwald schools in the country. It's on the registry for most endangered historic places. And so we feel it's important, me and the steering committee comprised of Adrian Takur from our Parks and Recreation Department, Dr. Yvonne Giles, Dr. Alvin Seals, Clarissa Thomas, Mandy Higgins from the Lexington History Museum, Councilmember Kathy Ploman, Sean Denny, who is here, and so many others, Joanna Green from Green Landing Farm, which is across the street, Reverend Leon Slatter, who is with Cadentown Missionary Baptist Church up the road. There's so many different people that have had a hand in remembering and celebrating Lexington's historic Black hamlets. And so on Juneteenth, we're going to come together at the Cadentown Missionary Baptist Church, which is right up the street, has plenty of parking. We'll have a presentation that will include speakers that have connection to the historic hamlets in Lexington. And we'll also have remarks from Commissioner Chris Ford. We will also have a commemorative Juneteenth plant that will be sponsored by Green Landing Farm. And there will be plenty of food that will be provided by Black Soil Kentucky. And so we want you all to come out. The day is going to start with the presentation. It's going to go on well into the afternoon with different activities, a block party bus, and food that is all free to anyone who comes. And so we want you all to come out, learn more about the history of Lexington's historic Black places, and just have fun and be in community with each other to remember and celebrate our emancipation. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much, Tiffany. Before we close this out, I would be remiss if I did not thank Adrian Takur, who is one of our deputy directors of Parks and Recreation. And you are one busy lady and have helped enable all of these kinds of events. And I cannot thank you enough for what you and Parks and Recreation have done to help make all these things happen. It's awesome. And yes, thank you. So, as you can see, you need to get your calendar out and every day put down whatever you're going to do to celebrate Lexington's Juneteenth, which is very, very special. You know, Tiffany said, Black history is Lexington's history. And now you see so many things that represent this, and the efforts to keep this school and this church and to recognize the history that went on here, as well as the burial ground behind the school. This is a big deal for us in Lexington to preserve and recognize all of these things. So thank you very much. I know that many of our speakers will be happy to do one-on-one interviews with the media. Thanks so much. Thank you, all of you. This is going to be a busy time. You're going to have to rest up.